What's happening, everybody? Suburban Hiker checking in here for day 5 of my 500-mile walk. Today we're gonna go for 3 miles, miles number 14, 15, and 16. It's Friday, March 29th, 2019. Let's hurry up and check in with the Map My Walk app and get this party started. Map My Walk, 0 distance, 0 duration. Let's start this workout. Happy Friday. Going for another walk today, getting those miles in. I'm kind of in a hurry. I'm gonna try and rush along a little bit. I have stuff I have to do tonight. Actually, I have to go play a show, pretending to be a rock star. Been doing that for years. So I need to get this walk in, get all my equipment loaded up, get everything together, clean myself up, and go pretend to be a rock star. A cool tree. I am back in my subdivision today. It's a slight breeze. It's a little bit overcast. It was good and sunny about an hour and a half ago. I should have walked then. It's a little warmer. There's a cool air coming in. It's supposed to be rainy today. It did rain a little bit overnight, just enough to make things wet, but everything's dry now and you wouldn't even know it rained. That's the way the weather works here in Michiana. There's still people out. I've seen a couple walkers already. Somebody power washing their house. That type of thing. Still a good day for a walk though. I'm just gonna do the outskirts of my subdivision. Change up my patterns and routines a little bit. Get these steps in. Yesterday's video, I was at St. Patrick's Park. I got to thinking about that. And I don't even know if I went there last year. It might have been 2 years since I've been there. Still, it's a fantastic park to be at. I had a great time out in the trails there, walking around. Ultimately, that's what I'm doing. That's what everybody does, whether you're a backpacker, hiker, or just walking. Everybody, you're just going on a walk. That's all it is. For whatever reason. I smell a skunk somewhere. Oh well. I hope this camera microphone isn't picking up too much of this breeze. Seems fairly steady and constant. I'm gonna have to purchase an individual microphone that will help cut down on that noise. I mentioned I have a show tonight. Currently, I am doing a project. I play guitar and sing in this project. It's called Billy Go Gruff and the Rockabilly Red Devils. I am Billy Go Gruff. The people are the Rockabilly Red Devils. Currently it's just a one-man show. I'm playing music out of the 50s and 60s, some 70s and 80s as well. Rockabilly, blues, old school country, Hank Williams Sr., Patsy Cline, Willie Nelson, stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. The music of that time era. Some of my favorite music. Blues, swing, jazz, stuff like that. I like all kinds of music as long as it's good. Doesn't really matter what genre it is. I like the contemporary music as long as it's good. like EDM, dubstep, rap, hip hop. I like everything, but it has to be good. That's my favorite kind of music, good music. I don't know that we produce a whole lot of good music these days. I know the music I like it. I like genuine music. I tend to like stuff that's a little off-center, peculiar, I guess you could say. I'm not a fan of canned music, you know, formulaic. It's hard to describe what I like and don't like. Ultimately, I like what I like and I don't what I don't. I'm not really a fan of vocals and lyrics. I don't listen much to that. I never have. I always like to listen to the music, the drums and guitar, bass, piano, whatever music's being played. I know everyone says, well, you have to listen to the lyrics. It tells a story. But a lot of the lyrics in commercial music is telling a story to an 11-year-old. I like lyrics with a little more depth to them. I really stopped listening to lyrics in the 80s, especially with the commercial music. All the lyric content's the same. For me, anyways. You know, it's not so much that I don't pay attention to the lyrics or don't like lyrics and vocals. It's just that my attention is naturally drawn to the instrumentation. There are some fantastic vocalists that I really like over the years. Pretty much any decade I can pick out vocals that I like, lyrics I like, storytellers I like. There's my neighbor honking at me as I walk. Interestingly, there are a lot of songwriters that I enjoy, but I only like their lyric content. I don't care for their performances. Bob Dylan's one of them. He's written some fantastic lyrics and songs, but I don't much care for his vocals. John Cougar Mellencamp, or whatever his name is these days. Never a fan of his songs or the instrumentation, really, the production of the songs, the recordings, but the lyric content for a lot of his songs are just really fantastic. Bruce Springsteen, he's another one. Not a fan of the music, him, whatever, you know, not my cup of tea. I mean, I totally understand why people do enjoy those artists. I get it. But it's just not what I listen to. I like hard rock, metal, whatever you want to call it. I like good music. I came across a band last night called Ginger, Jinjer, Ukrainian band. I guess they've been around since 2009. I'd never heard of them. I really liked what they're doing. Lead vocalist, she was really pretty impressive. I'm not going to give away any spoilers. I suggest you Google it and watch some video. I was quite surprised by what she had going on. And the band, the instrumentation, those guys were fantastic. Bass player is really good. I also play bass. bass guitar or guitar. I play drums, albeit poorly. I'm not a drummer, for sure. Definitely not a drummer. I never pursued it because I really enjoy playing them, and I didn't want to ruin that enjoyment with learning how to play them meticulously. And I never wanted to be a drummer in a band because that kind of takes away from some of the fun of playing them for me, I would think. But I've always played a little drums. I play a little bit of piano. Not enough to say I play piano, though. I understand how it works. I understand how music works, you know, half steps, whole steps, and all that good stuff. My mother was a classical pianist, schooled and trained. She was phenomenal. My 3 older brothers played piano. I was the only one not forced to take lessons. I did take them for about a year when I was 5, but I just didn't take to it. I thought about getting into it now that I'm 50. I'm a big fan of blues piano, boogie woogie, 50s era, late 40s, honky tonk piano. Man, that stuff's awesome. So much movement in there. And the way the left hand and the right hand work is pretty fascinating. I realize I'm not talking a whole lot about the walk today and the hike. My mind is in show mode. I mentioned in my other videos, if you have not seen them, I suggest you do go see them. I kind of get all or nothing. When I have stuff that I need to do, I'm all in, and I tend to sacrifice other stuff for that. And now my brain is stuck on music. But I also want to get this walk in, get a video up, get that taken care of. Because this is turning out to be quite the fun little project. I'm enjoying it. I hope you guys are. Drop me some comments down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I talk too much, if I'm not talking enough, if I'm talking just right. I keep saying I'm going to try and make these videos shorter, but each time I make a video, it's almost an hour long. I suppose I could cut out a lot of the talking, because I'm not saying much, I'm just rattling. That's another disclaimer I suppose I should make for this channel. It's not necessarily strictly a walking / hiking / backpacking channel. It's more of a vlog where I just talk to clear my mind while I walk.
1 mile. Total time 20 minutes and 16 seconds. Split pace 20 minutes 12 seconds per mile.
1 mile down. Holy crap. I totally missed it. I wasn't paying attention. I got to chatting. That's mile number 1 for the day. 2 more miles to go. That's mile number 14 for the 500 mile walk. Time goes by quick. Heck yeah. Oh, where was I? Okay, yeah. I was talking about this being a vlog channel. To some degree, it's gonna be just me rattling through my thoughts, whatever is on my mind for that day. I suppose that's the beauty of having your own YouTube channel. You can do whatever you want with it. Hopefully you guys find this stuff interesting. I do. Like I said, drop some comments. Let me know what you guys think, what you might want to see more of, less of, what you might want to hear. I'm purposely not running music in the videos. I like the sounds of the outdoor. I didn't want to block that out running music. As much as I love music, and oh my goodness, I can't even begin to explain how deeply music touches me. So much so that there's a time and a place for it. I love to listen to music. But to just indiscriminately hear it kind of bothers me. And what I mean when I say to indiscriminately hear it, when I'm at the grocery store, trying to remember what was on the list that I left at home on the counter, I don't necessarily want to hear greatest pop hits from the mid-70s over the store speakers. It's distracting, it's annoying. Chances are it was a song I didn't like in the 70s and I still don't care for. I understand why other people do like it. All those songs, any song that gets played on the radio, those songs, as much as people like to crack on them, they are expertly crafted, extremely well written songs. I'm not taking away anything from that. A lot of time and effort goes into making these songs so that the masses can enjoy them. I mean, there are millions and millions of musicians in our country, just in America. You add the millions from all the other countries in the world, and there's just a select handful that are played on the radio. Well, that's because the people that assisted in making that music a finished product are experts at what they do. But a lot of it I don't like. But I understand why other people do. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not saying they suck. I'm just saying I don't care for it. I really like guitar music. The more technically proficient the player, that generally catches my attention. Yngwie Malmsteen, he's one of my favorites, all-time favorite guitar players. A lot of his music, his first couple albums, when he did the neoclassical instrumental stuff, that was more of the focus of his music. I really enjoyed that. But then as he tried to gain more commercial fame and commercializing his music, they didn't care for that so much. Still fantastic playing, but I just didn't care for the songs. Steve Vai, he's another one of my all-time favorites. But even he's tough for me to listen to. He goes out there with his songwriting. But I'm just talking about his guitar playing. I really, really enjoy his guitar playing. His songwriting, well, that's something totally different. He's at an interesting stage in his musicianship where he fancies himself much more as a composer than as a guitar player. And he's a fantastic composer. He's got his music is wonderfully written and layered. It's just not stuff I care for. But his guitar playing is otherworldly. Guthrie Govan, he's another guitar player. Man, that guy, he's got freak skills. Good stuff. Of course, I really like early Metallica. First 3 albums are life-altering for me. Master of Puppets, oh my goodness, what a fantastically constructed album that was, right? That has to be the best album of that genre ever written and recorded. Just some epic songs on there, and I like it. Megadeth, they were another of the 80s bands I enjoyed. Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, stuff like that. Again, I'm not much of a fan of commercial-friendly music, radio-friendly music. I like what I like. I do have an all-time favorite band that most people are surprised to find out. They are my all-time favorite band. Only because they don't have masterful guitar players. Stevie Ray Vaughan, he's another all-time favorite. What a tremendous player he was. Hendrix as well. Those guys. Man, Stevie Ray, he just had such a command of the instrument and being able to make it do what he wanted. Steve Vai's the same way. Absolute mastery of the instrument. Whatever he wants it to do, he can make it do. That's good stuff. Of course, you get into the 90s, there's a lot of good music I liked in there too. My tastes opened up. I really liked a lot of stuff. You know, early Green Day was cool, Offspring was cool. Then I also liked Tool and Korn and all those bands as well. Alice in Chains, they're a band I learned to like later. I didn't much care for them when they were active. It was a little bit after their heyday that I started to appreciate them. My all-time favorite band, though, that's the Beastie Boys. I know, right? What a fantastic little outfit they were. Not their first album. I mean, yeah, the first album was groundbreaking, epic stuff. Licensed to Ill. But that was just the beginning. The cool thing about the Beastie Boys, they came out with Licensed to Ill. They had already been a punk band for a period of time. And at the same time, were influenced by New York's hip-hop scene and rap. So was I. I love old school hip-hop. I'm talking LL Cool J way back, 85, 84. Houdini, they were another awesome act. Of course, I can even go back farther and say Grandmaster Flash, Furious 5. Again, my musical tastes, I like it. I like all music as long as it's good. As long as it's good. But if there was one band that I had to choose, it would be the Beastie Boys. If there was only one band I could listen to for the rest of my life and not hear anyone else ever again, I'd pick the Beastie Boys. Just because their music and their songs, they sway, they cover a nice spectrum of styles and genres, and they're mixing styles and genres. You know, they're bringing in light jazz with hip hop and 60s soul and mixing that with rock and punk and rap. It's just, they were an incredible band. They did incredible stuff. They started out with a bang, huge success, sold millions of albums, quickly went into obscurity like most of the bands do after that, and recorded a follow-up album that was superior to that album, to their first album, but it didn't get quite the recognition. But they stayed true to what they were doing, and their third and fourth album was groundbreaking. And after they lost their commercial success, they regained street cred and once again started changing the genre. That doesn't happen very often. Good stuff. You ought to listen to them. When it comes to music, I mentioned it was so important to me and meant so much to me that I love to listen to music. And when I listen to music, that's all I'm doing. I mentioned I don't like to hear it at the grocery store. I don't want to hear it when I'm at work. It's especially bad at work. My line of work, I work in the RV industry. Huge buildings, factories, 100 people, and everybody has their own radio playing different music, and I will hear 7 different songs at the same time and think, oh my gosh, it's just so much chaos. When I listen to music, that's what I do. I put on headphones and I sit there and I listen. Generally, I'll even close my eyes, and I can sit there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and all I'm doing is listening to music. And that's perfectly fine by me. I'll listen to it in the car if I'm driving, but it's not loud. I like to be able to hear what's going on around me. I don't wear earbuds when I'm walking, hiking, bike riding. I think it's important to hear what's coming up behind me, whether it's a car, bicycle, or a dog, some other wild animal maybe. Not a whole lot of bears in Indiana, so I don't worry about that. I have been aggressively approached by dogs, but I've not been attacked. I was fortunate enough to be able to fend off any dog attacks. In my younger days, I was attacked by dogs, 6, 7 years old, but I came out of it relatively unscathed. So that's why I don't wear the earbuds, earphones, whatever. I need to be able to hear the things I can't see. Speaking of hearing music, I just passed the house where they're doing some remodeling, hanging vinyl siding, and the crew on the job site had their radio playing. Of course, I'm tracking right next to a postal truck. I'm gonna change my route so that you and I don't have to hear him constantly starting and stopping, starting and stopping. I had that happen the other day. I'm gonna head this way.
Total distance 2 miles. Total time 39 minutes and 41 seconds. Split pace 19 minutes 25 seconds per mile.
I missed it again. 2 miles. Now we're 2 miles in for the day. Man, this time it's zipping right by. I'm getting lost in thought, watching where I'm going, not keeping track of how many miles we're getting in. such a disservice to all of you following me along on my 500-mile walk. If you want to drop some comments, what's your favorite music? Genre, style, time, era, whatever. 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Classical music. I love classical music. Mom being a classical pianist, I was raised with it. All the good stuff, all kinds of, more than I can even remember. Brahms, Bach, Beethoven, Mozart. Man, it's just there's so many. And I enjoyed it all. I play a little bit of it on guitar. Took classical guitar lessons for a while. Been studying guitar my whole life. I came about it kind of backwards. I learned how to play before I learned what I was playing. It's almost reverse engineering. I did all the trial and error. Of course, this was back in the 80s, before YouTube and before online guitar lessons. Actually, I have another YouTube channel called Billy Goat Gruff and the Rockabilly Red Devils. And I do have some guitar lessons, tutorials on there. For those of you that want to check that out, you can do that. Check the description below. Maybe I'll drop a link to that page or channel, and you can see what I'm doing. It's not overly developed. I have about 20 some odd videos up. I had to take a break, smashed my finger at work. I managed to still play guitar, but it just was not very aesthetically pleasing to see that finger up close on a video camera. Here's a cool little spot of wilderness. I mentioned in a video a couple days ago that the granddaughter and I had gone on a long hike where there were no trails, and it was a super hot day. We drank all of our water and ate all our food. Couldn't make it home, even though we were only a mile from home. We decided we'd just call Mom and have her come pick us up. Well, those were the woods we walked through. There aren't any trails, at least not that we were on. A lot of thickets, brush, trees, a couple retention ponds, or whether they're man-made or not, I don't know. Actually, my whole subdivision was wooded. From what I understand, I have some acquaintances that grew up in this area 30, 40 years ago. This was all, the whole subdivision was wooded. And they used to hang out here, and they had made their own trails and rode motorcycles, mini bikes out here. Uh-oh, I got sidetracked again. I have no idea what I was talking about before I started talking about that wooded lot that the granddaughter and I walked through. Maybe it'll come back to me. Who knows? Maybe I'm just finally getting older and I don't like hearing music. I'm a grumpy old guy at the gas station, mean mugging somebody for having their car stereo bumping they jams. I will say, growing up, I did try a little bit maybe to be respectful of other people. home practicing my guitar. I didn't need everyone to hear what I was playing. Oh, there's a strong little breeze. I hope the camera's not picking it up. Not too much anyhow. Don't get me wrong, there were times where I turned my amplifier all the way up and pointed it out an open window so the neighbors could hear how good I was. Of course, I was 11 and I wasn't very good. But with practice, I did get better. I learned, I remember when I learned Van Halen's Eruption. I was 13. I thought it was really good. I wasn't really a fan of Van Halen's. Tremendous player. They were kind of like Alice in Chains for me. It wasn't until after they were done that I started appreciating them more. And I'm talking about Van Halen with David Lee Roth, not Sammy Hagar. He's another tremendous performer, but I'm just not really a fan of his. He's written some pretty neat stuff lyrically. Some of his guitar playing, he's written some really neat stuff there too. I tend to shy away from polish. The more polished the finished product is, it seems, the less I enjoy it. Who knows? I've just always been picky about music and everything. It's one of my superpowers. Pick everything apart and overthink it. A cool little wooded lot. Doo doo doo. Oddly enough, I had one of those behind my house when we moved here. It was a smaller lot. It wasn't a retention pond. I figured the engineers just goofed up on the math and had an odd-sized lot after they were done, because they knew they couldn't put a house the size of all these other houses on it. They hadn't built in the subdivision, I think, for 13 years by the time we moved in. But a year after we bought our house, they knocked all the woods down, and I was right. They couldn't build a house the same size, so they built a smaller house. I was so very unhappy. I wanted to buy the lot. I was going to take out a couple trees and put a gazebo in there. That would have been awesome. Make matters worse, the people that bought the lot had the trees knocked down and built a house. They moved out a year later. And then it's been a rental ever since then. Well, someone else bought it. The next people bought it. And then when they moved a year later, well, they kept it. And now they're trying to be real estate moguls. And it's been a rental. And usually the renters change every year. We've been lucky. We've had some good people live there, quiet. The people that are there now are largely pretty quiet, friendly. They've been nice to have as neighbors. But we've had one or two that were undesirable. But whatever. Now, I am at 2.91 miles. Almost to 3 miles for today. mile number 16 for my 500-mile walk. I'd like to suggest you subscribe to the channel if you're having fun following along with me. I'll try not to talk off topic too often, but I can't promise anything. My brain runs all over the place nonstop. I enjoy it. It doesn't bother me. But like I was saying, you can subscribe, ring the bell to get notifications. Although I'm going to try and upload every day. I'm going to try and make some of these videos shorter. And I'm going to try and get more miles in per day. The sun's coming out. Drop me some comments below. 2.98. Somebody pressure washing their house. We're getting close to mile number 16. Oop, got a bug in my eye. I'm gonna cross the street here. Head back towards my house. Not too far from it.
Total distance 3 miles. Total time 59 minutes and 37 seconds. Split pace 19 minutes 58 seconds per mile.
There you go. Mile number 16 on my 500-mile walk. Only 484 more miles to go. Heck yeah. Suburban Hiker, thanks for hanging out with me today. We'll see you tomorrow.